Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's such a pleasure to see everyone and see everyone's interest in membership. We are a membership organization, and membership is our top priority. So we value your time, and the fact that you're spending this Monday with us is really important. So thank you so much. On behalf of Louisa Horn, my counterpart, and we are thrilled to do this monthly membership meetup. And this evening, we're going to be talking about now what? Sustaining your club's irresistibility. And leading the session tonight, one of our assistant Rotary coordinators, Matt Adler. He is from the new CNY Rotary, which is officially District 7180. He's a past district governor and part of our enhanced learning team. We have this wonderful enhanced learning team, which helps us organize and get everything ready for these monthly membership meetings. So I'm going to pass the baton over to Matt.
To introduce our first speaker. It is Lizzie Martin. Now, Lizzie Martin is the president of CNY Rotary. For those of you who don't know, in the last year, we formed a new district. It was the combining of 3 districts in central New York. And there's nobody that could have done a better job in the first year. It's a lot of challenges, and Lizzie has really lived up to the job. So I do want to introduce Lizzie, but I also want to thank Lizzie because she's here. And keep in mind, we just had our district conference this past weekend, and I can't imagine the amount of work that Lizzie put into this. We're grateful to have Lizzie. And also, Lizzie, for those of you who don't know, she is in the media business. So again, she has been so helpful. So Lizzie, I want to welcome you and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Matt. What a nice introduction. And thank you all for having me here this evening. Let me get my slides up on the screen for all of us so we can get started. All right, you guys already teed up what our topic is for this evening. And I did also just want to share with everyone some of my credentials. You might be wondering, why is a CNY Rotary president, or as Matt explained it, district governor, presenting to us about our membership night? Well, I have been in Rotary for 16 years, and for almost all of those years, I was a club secretary or a club president. So I have a lot of experience in this transition period and being a part of what I'm about to talk to you about tonight in terms of transitioning our members and our leaders. I do also have a little bit of membership experience in that I was our district innovative club advocate for a short stint. So hopefully that gives me some qualifications to be speaking with you tonight. This is the perfect time of year to start thinking ahead and taking action to ensure you have a smooth transition for both your members and your leadership team. We're going to talk about a few of the best practices and things to make sure we're considering for both our members and our leaders so that we can take meaningful action while we have the time for it. We're also going to touch on the benefits of having a longer-term strategy. Before we jump into those transition tips, though, let's just remind ourselves of the things that our Vibrant Club should already be doing to be irresistible that Louisa and Cindy and this team has shared with you in their past monthly presentations. These are some of the key points that if you're an irresistible club, you're doing. You are open to change. You have good member retention and your succession planning is in place. Your club is a place that members are excited to invite people to, and you're embracing diversity, and your members are involved. A lot of them are involved, willing to step up and help out. You have that strategic vision. Of course, we're going to talk about that later here. And then you have good public image, so the community knows and appreciates your club's contributions. And some of the past recordings that they've done for these monthly sessions, they're all available on the Zone website for you to watch and catch up on. But these are the high-level points of what it takes to be an irresistible club. This is also all done within the context of the 4 key pillars that make up our Rotary Action Plan shown here. To increase our impact, we have to set goals. We have to know your community's needs, establish continuity and collaboration in your leadership team. To expand reach, we want a growth mindset, and we want to make new partnerships and use proper branding and be out in the media to get that reach. Being irresistible is really important to enhancing engagement. You've got to make it fun, meaningful, and be genuine in the care of your members. And when it comes to adapting, we should encourage new ideas and focus on continuous improvement and take some risks to try new things. Now that we have this context of what it means to be irresistible and we have our action plan in mind, we can move on to the things we should think about when it comes to continuity as we change over our leadership this July. Dues renewal time is generally when we find out if members are engaged and happy. What can we do to ensure they feel good about staying in your club? There's no one way to go about having your members renew their dues. Some clubs are very formal and they mail out fancy invoices. Others just send an email asking their members to get their check to the treasurer when they can. I'm going to share with you some of the things that have worked well in my club over the years and why I think they could be helpful for you. And even if you don't follow them all to a T. When I joined Baldwinsville Rotary, we had 35 members. Today, we have 65. There have been some ups and downs over the years, as many of us experienced through the pandemic, but it's been pretty steady upward growth as we embrace the elements of irresistibility and we continue to organize ourselves administratively. It starts with getting an invoice out to that invite to renew their dues early. My club sends them on May 1st each year, and we actually offer an early bird rate if members pay by May 31st. Of course, they have 2 whole months to really submit their payment because we have until June 30th to update our database for RI in our district. But we don't like that last minute hustle for our volunteer leaders if we can avoid it. So this structure has been helpful in easing the workload for them, and it's a little bit of a discount that our members enjoy. This also gives us plenty of time for conversations with anyone who's unsure about renewing. When you're sending out the invoice and any subsequent reminders to pay dues, include powerful messages about the value of membership. Talk about your club's achievements this past year, your gratitude for this member's continued participation, or include an invitation for a personal conversation if anyone wants to make sure that whatever you're working on for next year is going to be relevant to them. Let's make sure we're being appreciative and inviting when we're asking people for their money. You should always also be transparent about what dues are used for if anyone has questions, and make sure you're clear that they cover RI, district, and your club's dues. Over the years, my club has also added multiple ways to pay as more people move away from paper checks. We offer PayPal and even Venmo for electronic alternatives. There's even a QR code right on our invoice for those who want to pay online. We know that setting up an online option is sometimes easier said than done, but with check washing scams increasing, the less that we can mail checks, the better. This might be the year that you should finally take the time to figure out setting up this option, whether it's PayPal, Venmo, or maybe something through Club Runner or DACDB. There are many options to choose from. You should also be engaging multiple leaders in your club through this process. For my club, the secretary does the communications and they coordinate with the treasurer as we start to identify who's going to need a follow-up reminder to pay. And then in June, we pull in the membership committee. So anyone who hasn't paid by June 15th is going to receive a personal phone call to see where they stand. These are sometimes just people who've forgotten to pay, but it's also people who may be on the fence about renewing. The personal connection can lead to a coffee meetup or just a phone call conversation to ensure that they're going to renew, or at least truly confirm if they're not interested in continuing. It's almost like an instant on the spot exit interview. And keep in mind, we encourage everybody to do exit interviews. You can do them with an electronic survey or a message that you send someone after they've not renewed, but they're much more effective when you can do it right in person or right on the phone with somebody. Just know that you never want to let that calendar flip to the new Rotary year without hearing from or touching base with every member of your club. So again, the timeline: invoices May 1st, June 15th, if you haven't paid, you're getting a personal phone call. And then of course, for everybody, that June 30th deadline to update your database, because not only will these tips help you with renewing memberships, they're going to help you protect your club's finances by knowing where everyone stands on renewal by the June 30th deadline, so your database is accurate when RI in your district pull those membership numbers for your invoices in July. To me, the most important part of this slide is start early and give yourself time for the personal connections. That is the kind of care we must give members to keep them engaged in our clubs. Now, in addition to members renewing their dues, we have to talk about the things that come up with changes in our leadership team too. We'll cover what to do if you don't have a leader yet for next year. Talk about tips for cultivating leaders so that that doesn't keep happening. And then how we can lean into the adapt part of the action plan when it comes to new teams. If your club is still looking for someone to step up to be president for this July, just know you are not alone. On the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about how we can go about solving this problem in the long term, but in the short term, we need a quick fix. July is coming up fast. First, take a hard look at what it is you're asking someone to do as club president. How much of the club experience are you putting on their shoulders, and could those responsibilities be shared by the board, by committees, by helpers? If your club president currently has to run the meeting, which means being at every single meeting, run the board meetings, plan the program, set up the meeting space, handle all the emails that come with being in the database as your club president, it's a lot. That could be why no one's coming forward. Get someone else to take the lead on planning programs. Have members come and take turns setting up the meeting space, which we sometimes call being sergeant at arms. Do what's needed to make the position work for somebody and be flexible. Still too much of a commitment? Maybe it's the timeline. Split up the year. If 12 months is just too daunting for someone, share it. Have co-presidents that each take half the year. Have 4 past club presidents each take a quarter. Or like a club in my district, they had a team of 6 past club presidents each take 2 months. 2 months is like nothing. It can make it feel a lot more accessible to people, especially if they like to travel or they're snowbirds. And it could be beneficial to the club by giving you some variety. That's kind of a irresistibility factor too. So at this point, if you don't have a club leader yet, asking previous presidents to share the year is a good solution because they've been there, they've done that, they've hopefully gone to Pat's Pals in the past. It would be a little harder for someone who's newer because at this point in the year, they will have missed out on some of those in-person learning opportunities, but you could always lean on the Learning Center for them to get up to speed doing that club president basics as well as a few additional courses. Once you've squared away how to handle your 25-26 president, let's take some action to cultivate more leaders so we're not in this pickle again. When it comes to setting expectations from this day forward, make sure that people know when they join your club that club service is an expectation of all members. Club service, and when I say club service, what I mean is you're serving your fellow members by being on the board, being a leader, being on a committee, in some way serving each other. If we set that expectation from the start, it shouldn't come across as so much of a burden, but rather something they should anticipate having to do as part of their membership. This is a little harder to hit the reset button on with your existing members, but sometimes all it takes is asking, what committee would be most fun for you? You have a lot to offer. How can we get you involved in helping on our team? I know you've been membership chair before, but would you consider trying something new and joining our service committee? There's a lot of ways you can use flattery to your advantage as well. If your club doesn't already have a culture that celebrates club service, making that change, it's not always easy to do. But if you remember, going back to our irresistibility slide, change is the first element we had listed there. You have to be open to change, so you can't shy away from this. When I joined my club, being the treasurer or secretary was a big honor. These are people we held in very special regard, and members expressed appreciation for their contributions. They were recognized for going above and beyond for us. Somehow we've gotten away from this, and even in my vibrant, growing club, we sometimes struggle to get people to step forward. So here's some ideas I have to share with you to help set a more positive tone around being a club leader and doing that club service. First, stress flexibility so that people will feel comfortable asking you to change a leadership role so it will work for them. You have to let people know you're willing to be flexible on something, or else they'll just assume it is what it is and it's not right for them. Talk about your club leaders a lot. Always be highlighting their contributions in your meetings, your newsletter, your assemblies, all those spaces. And express gratitude both publicly and privately to these members so they feel valued and everyone sees they should be held in high regard for what they're doing. What they do contributes to every member's experience. Without the administrative work they do, we can't do any other type of service. It's that important. You need to make sure your members are crystal clear on that. Investing in future leaders starts with education by promoting the Learning Center, encouraging attendance at district events, and paying for members to attend Rotary Leadership Institute, or RLI. You will boost their Rotary IQ, and that will make leadership easier for them. Some of these things do have hard costs associated with them, but they're truly an investment in your club's future and well worth it. Taking on a leadership position will be a lot less scary when you understand the big picture of Rotary, you know the acronyms, and you feel like you have a good foundation to build on. Many of us likely served on our club's board as a director or board member at large, or whatever that terminology is for your club, before we ever were president or maybe in any other leadership role in the club. So being a board member is a gateway to leadership overall. So think carefully about who you invite to be on the board and play that long game. Ask new members, ask people who've never led before, because they will learn a lot by participating on the board meetings, and they'll start to take ownership by being part of the decisions that guide your club. It may help them see where you have gaps in leaders and empower them to want to step in and fill that gap. Finally, when talking up job openings with your club's leadership teams, promote that these types of roles are a great way for people to develop new skills and to grow as a person. All the roles in Rotary come with educational support, whether that's through the Learning Center, shadowing the existing leaders, going to district assembly. So they're all going to get support to get started. And while leading a club or committee, you're going to be able to improve skills in time management, project management, fundraising, recruitment, public speaking, communication, social media, so much. This should be especially appealing to young professionals. So be sure you give them a chance to lead, because that's how I got here. Our final leadership transition topic is regarding leadership styles. Every club president is going to have a different approach. Some are very hands-on, some are more laid back. So your leadership team that surrounds them has to be ready to adapt and either step in or step back as needed. Having leadership team meetings before the new year is a helpful way to get a feel for what this new club president wants to accomplish and how they hope to reach your club's goals. At this point in the year, they should have their goals in Rotary Club Central to share with the team. Find out if they need added support in certain areas. Some volunteers are delegators, some are type A control freaks like me. Both need help, just in different ways. Plus, we aren't all strong in every single aspect of being a leader. Some might need help with writing for communications or writing their monthly newsletter note. Some might need help with setting the meeting agenda or managing the tech to do the Zoom meetings if you have a hybrid or virtual meeting. Whatever that looks like, as a fellow club leader, you will contribute to the continuity of your club's irresistibility by learning and anticipating these potential changes. If you are the president-elect, be open with your team about what you'll need to succeed, because when you succeed, so does your club. And remember, change is key to being irresistible. Our structure of only serving as president for 1 year is a strength. And while it might sometimes feel like a year isn't enough time, I know many past presidents and past district governors feel that way. Each club president and each district governor, you move your group forward a few steps on their journey every year. This is why continuity is such an important thing to focus on in these final months of the Rotary year. And you know what can help that even more is strategic planning, which we're going to jump to now. Thanks to Ron Popeil, I don't know if anyone's going to get that pop culture reference, but many are familiar with the term set it and forget it. But that's not what we do with our long-term plans in Rotary. My club learned that the hard way. We made a 5-year plan back in 2021. We filed it away and never looked at it again. And now we have to start over from scratch to make a whole new one because the other one is so outdated. So it might seem like extra work to review a long-term plan every year, but it's better than what we did. We created a lot more work for ourselves by having to start from scratch. So we'll talk briefly now about making long-term plans and keeping them. A key to continuity is to have a bigger goal that everyone is working towards that looks out far beyond just the year ahead. To start, use this time, these final months of the year, to have conversations with your club members or conduct surveys and take that feedback into account when coming up with your strategic plan. Ideally, by July 1st, your club would have or is in the process of developing a multi-year strategic plan. If you already had one, you will have reviewed it with the entire leadership team for any potential updates and to get everyone rowing in the same direction. Include your board and all of your committee chairs in these long-term discussions so everybody gets the big picture. Rotary International understands the importance of this and has modified Rotary Club Central accordingly. Club goals should be set for 3 years out and then revisited each year by the incoming president. And while there's still a few dozen goals in there to be set, there are 6 priority goals highlighted for this 3-year rolling strategy. These tie in directly with the action plan and are related to membership growth, foundation giving, service participation, and whether or not you have a strategic plan. Incoming club presidents are encouraged to collaborate with future leaders when setting these, if that's possible. If your club has a president-elect already for 26-27, president nominee designate, if you are blessed with that level of coordination, then have them working together as early as possible. And remember, we're only accountable to our own goals. They're not set in stone. You can change them anytime, get them set now, but it's not a rotisserie chicken if you got that Ron Popeil reference. Check in throughout the upcoming year, make sure they're still relevant to the vision you have for your club, especially if you're implementing a new strategic plan or you make any other changes. We're wrapping up here. I want to summarize what I've covered with you today so we can use these last 3 months of the Rotary year wisely and set ourselves up for success in 25-26. Continuity of members is maximizing the dues renewal process through strong and organized communications. Set a May 1st deadline for distributing invoices so you have time for personal discussion with members who may be on the fence about renewing. Never wait until July to ask somebody what's up. Make sure you involve leaders from your secretary to your treasurer to your membership team to help with the transition so you have the bandwidth to have these personal conversations and even conduct exit interviews if that's what's needed. Let's work together to avoid that big drop in membership numbers this June by being proactive in how we ask our members to renew. We also reviewed a few different angles of leadership transition, including some quick fix solutions for those still in need of a club president and some ways we can better cultivate leaders moving forward, which includes investing in growing their Rotary IQ, giving people a chance to lead. We should all reflect on our club's culture when it comes to club service and elevate that as the most honorable way to serve in Rotary because it's what makes all other service possible. Without club administration, we can't be a club. And be sure to make connections as a leadership team so everyone can anticipate any shifts in how the incoming club president will need support since each volunteer has that different leadership style. Finally, we talked very briefly about long-term planning, which is easily its own separate webinar. It's enough of a priority that RI has amended Rotary Club Central's goals and structures to accommodate it. Give your team a finish line that's several years out so you can all row together towards it, and then amend what that finish line looks like by checking in each year. Factor in survey results from your members and be prepared to adapt to changes in our community and environment when you're doing that assessment. We covered a lot. It can sometimes be overwhelming. If you feel like your club isn't doing any of these things right now, that might feel like a really big lift. So as with anything that's complex or overwhelming, break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces. So pick out, a couple of manageable things like making sure you get your invoice out early or having that early board meeting for the 25-26 team. Use that time to make a plan to address some of the other things in the future. That's exactly how my club got to this point. All the things that I've shared with you that my club does were built upon over many years. It wasn't one great big transition. We are taking in the feedback from our members, tapping into new talent from our team. Each year, we try to improve ourselves. If you do need additional help beyond tonight, obviously I'm going to answer questions at the end, but here's some other folks that you can tap into more locally, your assistant governors or area reps, whatever they're called. In your district leadership team, that's their job, is to help you. And same with the folks on this membership team. If this is a membership, this all comes down to membership. Leadership and renewing your dues is a membership issue. So you can reach out to anyone here on the zone team. Here's my information if you want to connect on social media or ask me any questions beyond tonight. I'm always happy to help a Rotarian. So thank you.
Thank you, Lizzie, so much. I can't imagine there's anybody on this call who's not shaking their head and saying, wow, this is my club. Our club needs to do this. So by all means, I want to thank you again, and I'm going to send it back to Cindy.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. We appreciate that, all your little tidbits of advice. and you've lived it. And I love that you're able to talk about your own journey and your club's journey, and give us insights as to what's worked and what we can possibly do to help with our membership. I'm going to pass it over to Margie to introduce our next speaker.
I'd like to introduce Don Sovey. Don Sovey is our is District 6360 Visioning Chair at this point and this year, and he has been on the District 6360 Membership Committee. He is chair of his club's membership committee. And Charlotte, he's from Charlotte, Michigan. We don't say Charlotte in Michigan, we say Charlotte. Charlotte has done something very special this year. They've grown in spite of having their satellite club spin off to a full club. So that's very interesting as well. And Don has had a lot of activities in the district, and he goes around and helps all clubs, especially with their action plan and visioning. And he's very concerned about how clubs do transition from one year to another. So Don, why don't you take it away for us, please?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My background is that of a CPA. I still have a CPA license. I have my own CPA firm. It's just me. But that gives me a little different perspective in how to deal with planning and moving forward. And I'm going to take you through our story, which I think is unique. Past president of Charlotte, the vision chair this year, and the essential strategies that we've been working with, and some of this is relatively new in the last few years. The Rotary Action Plan has been a godsend. It really gives so much guidance on how to move forward, and it's incorporated in everything that we do. The strategic planning for the clubs, I was just working on one today at a neighboring club and wrapped theirs up after 3 meetings. It takes about 3 meetings to do a complete strategic plan like we do. And then the district strategic plan, District 6360, which we're going to see. But it all comes down to the engaged leadership and having fun. Lately, we've been talking about fun a lot, and we concentrate on that. And if we're not having fun, one of our leaders said we're not doing it right. So, you know, it is a real focus. This really has to be enjoyable, and in our club certainly is. We set a membership goal. This year it was an increase of about 10. I'm going to show you what happened when our satellite club went away and our numbers all of a sudden had a free fall because of that. And then the database. We have a database that is very powerful, but unfortunately probably not used by everybody, and that's a focus that we're going to be presenting even this week with our younger members. And then a program that was new to us, Discover Rotary. I think it's the great marketing strategy of all time for Rotary clubs, and has sure been a blessing for us, even though we've only become used to it in the last few weeks. So this is the statement that we've been building the strategic plans with, and I'm sure you've all seen it, but up at the top we have the vision of Rotary, and we start talking about that. And then the pillars, which really are everything, and they really set the direction. If we use this as our template going forward, we're going to have a great plan. And what is a strategic plan? We always have to keep refreshing what it is. It's what we want to be at some point in time. Why do it? This is from Rotary International, and it probably says it the best. Clubs that develop and follow strategic plans are stronger, and their members are more satisfied, they're more engaged. So I use that quote a fair amount, and I believe it's true, because the plans we have worked on, after we leave a club and they start living with their plan, even though it's a 3-year plan, they're racing through all of those action items, and before you know it, they're done. We got one of the clubs on this call today that was just stellar, and they're moving very quickly on getting things done. Back in 22 and 23, we created a strategic plan, and at the top we have mission and vision. It was actually Rotary International's, and we came up with the goals at that time. This was before the action plan template, and it worked, but it was a bit of a struggle. We have three big buckets, three big goals, and they're all completed. But it took a little bit of persuasion to get particularly the middle one done. And we did get it done. We did engage the community. We developed a block party for the entire community, and that plan is completed. So we're starting a new plan development right now, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So under construction, the club that we worked with today, and my own club's plan is under construction as well. But we start out with the template, and we develop the action plans, and then we also develop the SMART goals. The SMART goals are everything. This is the district, which we completed in June of 2024, the district strategic plan, going out 3 years at that time, and with the same categories. And it was taken very seriously by the leadership. And every quarter, we spend an hour and a half reviewing the progress of all of the action plan goals listed. And the reach category, the membership growth has been a real focus, maybe the biggest focus in everything we've done, but much success in all of it. The adapt to the right really talked about how the governance takes place, and maybe revising some old thinking and moving forward. Here's what our action steps for the district look like. And these are the SMART goals broken up into the same categories. But what we've learned is we need to assign a person to do the work. So I'm going to see if I can show this a little better. So we have the names and the what the project is and when. When we do this, this gives it so much strength. And I learned the hard way, not doing this in some prior plans, that nobody takes ownership unless you really have that assigned up front. So the SMART goals are everything in this, and we do it with every plan now. And when people have responsibility, they tend to be very serious and take it through. I've been to a number of zone meetings, and this was presented, why a 3-year rolling plan. It makes all the sense in the world, because the leadership is always changing. To develop that continuity helps that consistency going forward. And the long-term planning from my accounting life is everything, and long-term financial planning as well. Another slide from one of the presentations, a zone meeting. They've broken the big points down into what is really important in the action plan priorities. And I think this says it all. It makes it simple, easy to understand. And they're talking about a term that we hadn't heard until a number of months ago, the 3-year rolling action plan. So as these action plans get completed, they need to be relooked at, and some new action plans need to come onto that strategic plan. So every year, once we get a club trained, we're suggesting that they take a look at this and update the plan themselves. We'll be unable to go out to 51 clubs and help them renew it. So once they're in place, we want them trained. We're trying to train them in how this can take place. And they'll have a great format going forward. This all comes down to the leadership, setting of goals, and having fun. I probably should have put having fun first, but it's in there because that really is what is important. Our district governor has provided amazing leadership, a real focus on membership, and we're coming along very well. You're going to see how that is working. Our noon club, we have two clubs. Our noon club is the club I'm in, is led by President John Dykstra, an amazing business leader, a great manager, a business owner, and he's really helped the club develop those strategies going forward. We have our assistant governor from a neighboring club who is very engaged, great with technology. And the evening club president has a new job. He's the president of one of the largest bank in our city now. So they're all very connected, all business people, and that has helped move the clubs forward. Having a membership chair and a membership drive is critical. And I ask, what is the membership goal? So I just talked with our incoming president, and she's set a goal through the process for the incoming presidents. This is the result from a recent publication of our district, and one of the things that they've learned is if you add a club, and the top one is Greater Niles, because that is a brand new club, was in existence years ago, disbanded, and it's come back. So all of a sudden, they've added 20 members to this goal of 100 for this area. Another club south of here is Albion, and they're just on fire. They've added 15 off to the right. The Charlotte Club is the club I'm in. This is the noon club. We're at 67 now, and we started the year with 54. So when we say 54, that's after the evening club left and formed their own club. And down here is the evening club, and they're doing well. They're at 25, and if we add our 25 and our 67 together in this town of Charlotte with 8,000 people, we have 92 in there. Benton Harbor is one of the clubs, St. Joe Benton Harbor, that worked on a strategic plan, and they're very engaged in Discover Rotary and strategic planning. I'm very proud of what they have done with their plan. Mason is another one that did a strategic plan. So you can see some of these up in this higher list that are having positive success have completed strategic plans or they're underway. We emphasize, working together, our activities, our actions. This was our biggest gift to the community, a trail around a new lake that has been donated to the county. We emphasize that we would like to have all of our members involved in fundraisers in some capacity. We have 18 new members within the last couple years. So 18 out of 67. We're approaching a third of our whole membership with a change of culture. They're really changing the culture, and they're involved in the club itself. So here's some of the fun. We had line dancing program instruction, and it was easier for some than others, but it came off real well. And the person leading the line dancing on the right is one of the people I brought into the club, and she's just a blessing for us in the club. Another fun event, this was a fundraiser to raise money for the larger projects. We generally do large dollar projects that are pretty costly, and this was one in Lansing. I mentioned earlier the database, and I think it's critical. We don't have enough attention to it, enough people using it, so we're going to have a session on Wednesday to get people involved, because when we use this, we can reach out to 2,000 people very easily through the database. The Discover Rotary is the last thing I'm going to touch on, and on this call today is Mike Gallagher, who introduced us to this. I think it is just an absolutely amazing tool, and it takes about a 45-minute presentation to prospective members. This is one of the slides. This is another slide. It really gives you all of the background and the understanding of what Rotary is all about internationally and what we can do in working together. It defines what Rotary is. And we've all got to have our elevator speech, and sometimes we don't. if you just remembered this, you'd be quite a ways along. Ask the question, what can Rotary bring to you, and what can you bring to Rotary? So with that, that completes my talk. I appreciate you listening. We've had a wonderful time working with clubs, bringing them along on strategic thinking, big picture thinking. Today at the Rotary Club in Battle Creek, I introduced the concept of strategic abandonment. Sometimes we start doing so many things that we can't do everything, or something just doesn't have the appeal anymore. We need to discuss abandoning certain things that we do, and they were thoughtful on that. I think that was a good discussion. So with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Don, for sharing that. And I love the way that you incorporated the action plan, in particular, when you were very targeted with who is doing it, what is it going to, what's going to happen, and when. Having those deadlines are so important. And we need plans when it comes to growing our organization. Sometimes things can happen, we can poof, but other times we really need to be strategic in reaching out. So thank you so much. Lizzie, if we can get you back on the screen here, I'd like to open it up for some questions. You can put your questions in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we have a few minutes for some questions, because both Lizzie and Don did such an amazing job. Paul?
Oh, hi. I really enjoyed this presentation. I was wondering, when you look at the goals that are, say, a district would set, are there maybe 3 or 4, I know there could be many goals, but are there maybe a top 3 or 4 go-to goals? I'm thinking, certainly, growing, membership would be one, foundation would be another, and giving. What would be maybe in the top 3 or 4?
May I take that one, Cindy?
Of course. Yes, Lizzie.
Sure. So Paul, what I meant when I was referencing Rotary International making changes in Rotary Club Central is they have chosen 6 goals to be the priority goals. So if you go in Rotary Club Central, you'll see they have stars next to them. And if you don't see all 6, because you might need to click the edit button, and then they will all appear. If you haven't set goals, you might not see them there yet. But yes, they are exactly as you suggested. They are about membership growth, membership engagement by setting a goal for how many will participate in service, and then goals about giving to the annual fund, to polio, and setting up new benefactors in your club. So those are the 6 priority goals from Rotary.
Great, thank you.
If I could add one thing to that, for our district, under ADAPT, one of them was cleaning up the manual of procedure and all of the past practices and getting them in writing instead of some practices in heads, in memories, but getting everything clarified. So there's a lot of time with the leadership that was spent on that.
Yeah, if I could follow up on that just real quickly. We just finished that here in District 5010, and we have a policy manual that's going to go to the annual meeting, but then we're going to have a separate procedures manual that the board can work with more, in real time. So we're going to have those 2 things going to see how that works.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul. Lauren, do you have a question for us?
More of a comment, Cindy, because one of the things I looked forward to as a CPA, I really wanted to determine the economic impact of Rotary. And to do that, you need your volunteer hours, the dollars that you have raised or have gotten in kind, the donations you make to your annual program fund, understand that they're leveraged funds, and same thing with polio. And if you get that 4 or 5 pieces of information, you can determine the economic impact of Rotary. And having said that, I know that the economic impact of Rotary for internationally, the whole Rotary is over $4 billion a year. And if you think about it, your own district or your own area, your own club, you'll be absolutely shocked and surprised how much of an impact you have in the world. Anyway.
Thank you so much. And that's a wonderful way to recruit members, when you're showing them and talking to them about the impact that they make. Thank you so much. Mike, you have a question for us?
Around the visioning, strategic planning in particular. our District 7850 is trying to engage clubs in visioning process, but I'd be curious, Don, if, how you would separate out those two things, visioning and strategic planning. I think of visioning as maybe the springboard to strategic planning, where it gets real down and dirty in the second phase. But what would you say to that? Thanks.
You're absolutely right. When I first started on this almost 2 years ago, it was visioning. It was only visioning. And that is the basis for everything that happens here. You have to have that dialogue. And this was at the Mason Club, and it was visioning. My co-partner came in and we took the final step and we turned it into that strategic plan with all of the ingredients that you saw here. So every one that we do now, that's part of the reason it takes longer, 3 sessions as opposed to a couple. We want to have that final document that they can walk away with. It's going to have the vision and the mission, and then the SMART goals on the back. I learned the hard way by not having SMART goals in a couple strategic plans, and it is a problem. So every one that I'm going to work on, I'm going to have the SMART goals in. But it absolutely starts with visioning. That's what it used to be called. When I first met Margie, she called it visioning, and we've now evolved it to strategic plan. And that's really what Rotary International is talking about. They've got a document that helps clubs get started on that.
Thank you so much. Brian?
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Don and Lizzie. My question is about membership, and I have a number of clubs in my district, say a club of 50 members. They bring on 10 new members in 1 year, feel they're doing great. And then the following year, 7 of them leave. And I'm wondering if you have that up and down occurring in your clubs, and if you've taken the process of onboarding and engaging and retaining members and turned it into a bit of a program that you found effective.
The engagement is critical. We're with 18 members that are new. We're having a meeting this week to talk with them for 15 minutes and review all of the committees that we have and all of the projects. And they're not all on board yet in being involved. And we're going to have one more push on that along with DACDB. But it's one of our missing ingredients right now. And we've got to keep coming back to that. I think it's probably the membership committee that ought to do this.
Yes, in Baldwinsville, we stole our what do you call it? Orientation program for our new members from another club, I think a Rotary club. So we have a couple of rules. Before you even join the club, you have to attend at least 2 functions, and you have to have a one-on-one discussion with someone from our leadership team, usually someone on the membership committee. So we have a lot of coffee dates. And then only then will the board review your application to join. And then once you're official, you are invited by our orientation chair, and they just go through all of our committees, all of the avenues of service, so you understand the ways in which you can get involved. Speak with you about, what are your passions? What is it that you care about? Why are you here? How can we connect you with the right people to get engaged and get involved? We don't have requirements like you have to join a committee within the first year, but we're throwing around that idea because joining a committee is a pretty low level commitment. We're not asking you to lead it. But those are some thoughts. These are all, as I said in the presentation, these are all things that have been developed over years. This is not something that we came up with overnight. We also have a mentoring setup. So when you join the club, you're assigned a mentor, and that's the person who you can call on if you have questions and who helps check in to make sure you get to meetings or you get to where you need to be to participate. So these are all things that have been added in layers over the years. Sometimes they fall short. Like Don said, sometimes you don't have the right people in place. and then you get a new orientation chair and you're back on board. So it's all a process. It's always evolving.
I saw a question about SMART goals in the chat. If
Yes.
I could just talk about that for a minute. It's used in business and strategic planning all the time. They're specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time specific. And that's why we have the chart. What is the task? Who's going to do it? When's it going to be done? Without that detail, so the follow-through can be weak. And if you just bear with me for a little bit of levity, my mother-in-law, who's no longer with us, gave this to my wife, and it's called Body Talk. This is a story about 4 people: everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was asked to do it. Everybody was sure somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when actually nobody asked anybody. So a little bit of humor, but it's so true that if you don't give an assignment in some of my past plans, it doesn't happen.
Lizzie, I see you laughing because you said that at your Pels last year, correct? You stood up on stage and recited that same thing. Yes, great minds think alike. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Don. Kenise, am I saying your name correctly? You have a question?
That was perfect. Yes, it is Kenise. Hello, everyone. Just had a quick question about the fundraisers. Reverse raffle reverse. What is that?
Well, you're talking about our club.
Okay.
And it was one of their big fundraisers. There's money that flows in through tickets and everything. Then they have a series of drawings that take place all night while everybody's having a great time. And the final draw is the grand prize winner. So the club keeps a share of that, but a lot of the proceeds also go back out to the successful winner that gets drawn their number. And it's worked in our club a number of times.
Okay. And then the 3-on-3 basketball fundraiser, that was your club as well?
It is. That's coming up on April 26th. If you want to drive to Charlotte, you could see that happen. So I'm not terribly familiar with that, but it's pretty common where from 3rd grade on up, they're asked to develop teams up through adults, and they've already got it financed. They've got sponsors and sponsors and sponsors. They're just trying to get teams right now, and it's a fundraiser, and it's new. So it's some of our younger 18 new members that are putting this together, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I think it's 3-on-3 ball game. 3-on-3 is Gus. A common name for that is Gus Macker. Many
Yes.
of them are Gus Macker.
Mm-hmm.
If we
Okay,
have time for one more quick question, if anyone has anything really quick. Valerie?
I put my question in the chat, but there's a lot of things in the chat. Don, I'm very curious about that PowerPoint slideshow you use that informs potential Rotarians on what Rotary is all about. Are you willing? We are encouraged to do R&D in District 6290, and that is rip off and duplicate. Would you be willing to do a little R&D with us?
I would, but the real trainer for this is on this call. It's Mike Gallagher. He really designed ours. I'll be happy to send you our version of it, but he trained us, and he's been around to many clubs helping them get this started. But My email was up in the start of this slide. If you got it, it's Don Sovey, DONSOVEY @gmail.com. If you
Okay.
send me an email, I'll be happy to send that to you.
Okay, I came in late, so, but I'll donstovey@gmail.com. Okay,
DONSOVEY.
SOVEY. Okay, all
Correct.
right. Great, thanks, Don.
And I'm going to say hi to you, Valerie.
Hi, Margie.
Yes, a good friend from a former life. And if you want to email me, I have that information as well.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks,
So-
Margie.
Okay.
Well, thank you all so much for your time, for everyone who's here, and a huge, huge thank you to Don and to Lizzie. You both were absolutely amazing this evening. We are such a better organization because the two of you are a part of it. Just for everyone that was asking, we will we will have the slides and different things available. What we do is we do a quick edit, and then we post this on the Zone 28 and 32 website. So you're able to refer back to this presentation. Thank you again so much, Don and Lizzie and Matt and Margie and Louisa and everyone involved in the Enhanced Learning team. Please join us again for our next monthly membership meetup, the first Monday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Next month, it's on the 5th of May. Thank you again, everyone. We're going to have a quick meeting for the zone. So I'd say goodbye to everyone and have a wonderful, wonderful April.